Welcome back to the Den of Nerds. I am Josh, and we need to talk about these crazy new leaks about Avengers Doomsday. It has to do with the X-Men, it has to do with the Avengers, it has to do with Reed Richards fighting against Nightcrawler. Yes! Stuff's crazy. Let's get into it. Now, this all seems to have to do with the set that we've been looking at for the past couple of weeks that Marvel continues to build, and the internal sets that they are filming on right now. Remember that the Russo Brothers shared this photo right at the first day of filming, and it has the actual actor's chair for Victor Von Doom. And as we discussed in different videos and streams, the thing that's wild about that is the background is clearly the X mansion. And so, as different insiders pointed out, Dr. Doom is literally shooting scenes for internal shots at the X mansion. And I also, on a small side note here, want to discuss how Marvel's trying to throw people off the scent. This channel, or this company that runs the Unboxed HD, that company that has the drone footage of the set or whatever, right? So this company keeps getting a lot of fake info. For a while, this company was talking about how the owner of this house was named James. They talked about how something to do with the Exiles was going on, and more recently they've been talking about Iron Fist and then Luke Cage, but it basically was confirmed that Marvel is just using fake names on documentation to try to throw people off. So we just gotta be like really careful with what we think is going on here. Marvel is trying to throw us off the scent. However, I continue to believe that this set, the external one, is the X Mansion. But okay, so that's what's going on with the set, but there's other stuff going on that's even more interesting. So just a couple of days ago, My Time to Shine Hello was talking about how there's a big scene that's about to be filmed with Magneto versus Dr. Doom. And I think that scene will happen outside of the X Mansion. So we might even get some crazy set photos of what that is actually going to look like. That would be nuts. But it also makes me believe that all the debris on this set with like the pieces of the plane, I think that was probably Magneto. Because although we don't know for sure, there's a big rumor that that plane was actually some version of a Hydra bomber, and it may have been a ship that Hydra Captain America uses to try to attack the X-Men. A lot of speculation here. We don't know for sure, but there are a lot of rumors that talk about how an Avengers vs. X-Men conflict is somewhat at the heart of Avengers Doomsday because of the Monica Rambeau character being in that X-Men universe and that causing an incursion. And remember too that Dr. Doom's chair is literally shooting internals at the X Mansion. So perhaps what's happening is the Avengers, maybe being led by Dr. Doom and also Hydra Cap, attack the X-Men. Magneto rips a lot of their ships apart, and there's this absolutely epic battle between Magneto and Dr. Doom, and then maybe Dr. Doom kills Magneto, and then the scenes inside the X-Mansion are him talking to these other characters as he searches for Monica Rambeau. That's a lot of speculation, but what we do know from reports is that we're about to get a Magneto versus Dr. Doom fight, and I strongly feel like it's connected to this plane, man. It's just my instincts are telling me this is going to end up being an incredibly visual scene with maybe multiple planes being torn apart by Magneto. I mean, the Russo brothers love giving these big fan servicey moments to these big characters, and these two Avengers movies are supposed to have big moments for a lot of the Avengers, but also a lot of the old Fox X-Men characters. And I also just think that having an epic fight between Dr. Doom and Magneto, what an awesome way to set up Secret Wars to show how badass both of these characters are. And remember that the Secret Wars flavor, like all the way back to the original Jim Shooter version, it was just designed to have a bunch of bad guys and a bunch of awesome good guys fighting. Like, it is pretty fan servicey, and so I'm really hoping we get some more of these epic matchups here. Like, think about an all-time great comic book movie scene with friggin' Magneto showing Omega level mutant powers, ripping apart this massive plane, and then Dr. Doom's coming down and shooting like beams and energy and magic. Oh my god, dude, this has an opportunity to be one of the coolest moments in the history of X-Men films, in the history of Avengers movies, in the history of comic book movies. Let's go. Now, there's another piece here that's really interesting, kind of confuses me, but it's exciting nonetheless, and this has to do with Alan Cummings, the actor who is playing Nightcrawler. He was recently asked about his filming on Avengers Doomsday, and he said, "I'm sort of learning these fights," and I'm like, wait, who am I fighting? They're like, "You're hitting Pedro Pascal against the head." And that is a crazy slip of the tongue, because he probably should not have admitted that his character Nightcrawler is fighting against Reed Richards. So let's think about that. What is the context there? Does that mean that Reed is there with the Avengers and he's with Doctor Doom? That's pretty crazy to think about. Is it possible that Reed and Doom would work together? Yes, we've seen this happen before. And then there's this pesky little rumor of Doctor Doom presenting himself as Iron Man initially, and like maybe it's eventually going to be revealed that he's Doctor Doom. I am just so confused as to how some of this stuff could be fitting together, but maybe it's multiple fights. Like maybe the Avengers versus the X-Men will have multiple fights in multiple locations, because otherwise there's this huge other part of the puzzle that we are missing. Like, I understand Doctor Doom presenting himself as on Team Avengers. I even understand Hydra Cap being like a version of Cap, or pretending to be a good version and being like, I'm with the Avengers. I understand all of that, but I'm having a lot of trouble understanding how or why Reed Richards would go along with that. And although we haven't seen the Fantastic Four movie, there were rumors that indicated that Doom and Reed would actually come from the same universe. So it's possible in that utopian universe that Reed lived in, Doom just left like a long time ago. Or maybe they're both from a different universe. There's like a lot of different theories about how Reed and Doom could be connected, but it would just be so strange to see them actually working together and then fighting against the X-Men. So they're cooking something crazy, man. Something wild is going on over there when it comes to the Avengers versus the X-Men. And so it's obvious that we have a lot of questions about the X-Men, the Avengers, how that's all going to fit together. But there's another element here, and that has to do with the setup for the XMen Saga. Remember a couple of months ago, Kevin Feige made those comments about how this was a ending that had another beginning built into it. This was at some press conference or some Comic-Con, and he was talking about how when they made Endgame, it was really an ending, but they hadn't quite figured out what the next beginning was going to be. But that was not going to be the case for Secret Wars. In Secret Wars, they had a plan to tell a story that did wrap some things up, but also within that story, you were going to see the setup for the next saga, which was going to be the X-Men Saga. And we've heard other insiders like Alex Perez say that some of the things that are going to happen in these next two Avengers movies will set up more Avengers vs. X-Men conflict in the coming saga. Now, one of the questions I've had is, does this translate to something on Battleworld, perhaps? Is there something going on Battleworld in the Secret Wars movie, which will see mutants have their own kingdom and have some conflict with other regions on Battleworld or something like that? Or will there just be, in general, a Planet X, like a whole planet with mutants? Because we know that Wanda and Doom are going to have some kind of connection in the first film, but the rumor is in Secret Wars, Doctor Doom will marry Sue Storm, and he will have Franklin Richards as his son. And Franklin Richards, of course, is a mutant. He's an Omega level mutant that's really powerful. Is any of this playing into this overall X-Men versus Avengers thing? Like, I'm really curious about all of that, because it's weird to say that all this stuff in Doomsday and Secret Wars is going to set up more conflict for Avengers versus X-Men after Secret Wars, because we sort of believe that the events of Secret Wars might not be remembered by a lot of Marvel characters. Like TLDR here, but it kind of seems like Doom's going to do something at the end of Doomsday, recreate the universe, and that will be Battleworld. That's with all of the sort of medieval aesthetic, all of the Game of Thrones versions of the Marvel characters. And according to the rumors, for most of the characters within the 616 Marvel universe, it will be like Secret Wars did not happen. They won't really remember it. It's not going to have a big effect on their universe. And yet, the mutants are also going to start popping up too, and there's supposed to be something from Doomsday that will be remembered and cause Avengers vs. X-Men conflict. I'm just bringing up a ton of questions that I have because I follow this stuff. I know all the rumors, all the leaks, and it's really cool to hear about Avengers vs. X-Men, but it also just brings like a lot of questions when you think about the other rumor. That is pretty crazy. And I'm absolutely certain there's going to be more of this kind of stuff leaking out in the next couple of weeks. I'm absolutely glued to the news cycle and the rumors when it comes to these movies. I can't wait to find out more. And when I do, I'll pass it along to you in another video. So let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. And as I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day. And I'll see you in the next video.